we're coming up on a year of isolation. I was trying to remember the last. I don't want to turn this into a sad event, but everyone's posting. They're like, "This is the last time I did this or this." Have you noticed that this week? Everybody's like,
I haven't been on Facebook that much.
Oh, okay. Well, I was trying to remember like when was the last day we were out, which I believe was when you and I were recording the Horse Girl podcast, right? That was the last day.
Was for me and you. My last day at work was March 18th.
Okay, well, that was the last day I was anywhere in public.
Let's see.
It was, you said the 18th was the last. We recorded on March 15th.
Okay.
March 15th, 2020.
When did we go to that party?
It was the night before. So March 14th, I think.
Okay, so March 18th was the last day I saw some coworkers. They weren't all in the office that day.
Yeah. I had no idea that it was going to be like this. But yeah, so everybody's posting all their, this is a year ago, and I was like I was kind of dreading this point where we're like remembering like I still need there to be a time when life wasn't like this.
Yeah.
But what can you do? We're just making the best of it.
Yeah. Do we like skip last year? Or do we just not count it towards our life?
I mean, I feel like, what is that golf term? It's a MacGuffin? A McDuff? A McDermott?
Stop it. A mulligan.
It's a mulligan. Yes. I think that that's right. A MacGuffin is a story point that doesn't actually go anywhere. I feel like we can all just take a mulligan on 2020, right? At this point. Like, it didn't hurt her. I didn't get any older.
No.
So actually, that's just how I'm going to approach it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that we all should just pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's what they did in 1918.
Great. I think we can. There are a few times when I say let's take a lesson from 1918, but now is one of those times. The only thing that I'm going to acknowledge is the Adam and Andy podcast. That is the only thing.
I thought you were going to say that Biden got elected.
Oh, well, that too. But that happened also. Like, he officially became president in 2021.
That's true.
So, but the only event that I'm going to acknowledge that happened is the creation of the Adam and Andy podcast. That's it.
The best part of 2020.
Literally the best part. Speaking of which, welcome to the Adam and Andy podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And on this show, we watch everything that Andy Samberg and Adam Driver have ever been in.
Everything.
And I mean everything.
Interview. I'm just kidding.
I mean, we both did listen to an interview today, and I think we probably will talk about that, which actually is good because what we watched this week was so short.
So short, I watched it 3 times.
Sarah, you're a maniac. This week we are talking about is it the Unauthorized Bash Brothers Experience?
Yes.
I keep calling it Bash Brothers, but that's not really the name.
It's the unauthorized.
So it was not authorized. It was not authorized. It was not official. The sports team, the A's, the Athletics,
Athletics, which doesn't make sense. What are the Athletics?
That's the name of the team.
They?
That's a real sport team.
But what are they? What are athletics is what I'm saying.
That's a great question, because isn't athletics a category?
Yeah, it's a category. It's not a thing.
It would be like calling your
hold an athletic.
It would be like calling your team the health and wellness. It's like like a subject in school.
Yeah, the social studies.
I would watch that team. The social studies. They would have like some snazzy outfits. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about this week. It was only 30 minutes, and Sarah watched it 3 times. You had to process.
I watched it 3 times. One of those times took me twice as long because I watched it at half the speed. Because Netflix has a feature where you can watch things at half the speed, 3/4 the speed, times 1.5, and not times 2. I don't think it goes all the way to 2. But
so what you're saying is you saw a lot of slow motion pelvic thrusting. right?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's how I feel like that's what the majority of that's like a big part
You'd
of
be
the experience
You'd be
that is the Bash
surprised.
Brothers
I was
experience.
actually trying to like find the exact, because like for my moments of thirst, I had to find like the exact places where the thrusting was like thirsty, and it
Ooh.
was like I had to find like the exact. So anyway,
So you've got time code notes, is what you're saying. Sarah is here doing the deep research. Before we get into Bash Brothers, do you want to go through some Adam and Andy news?
yeah.
I think we started with Adam last time, so we're gonna start with Andy. Which is weird because it's like maybe now it's lining up where we do an Andy film and then we do the Andy news first. I don't know. There's no system here, you guys. I'm just kidding. So we'll talk about Andy first. So let me get up my twits because I am a serious journalist, and all of my information about these two actors comes from Twitter. So Andy, first of all, Golden Globes were Sunday. Did you watch any of the Golden Globes, Sarah?
I did not.
I watched the opening monologue with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. You know, they were in two different studios, one in New York and one in LA. So they actually like did a side by side where they split screened, and one of them was on a stage in one state and one of them was on stage in another state on the other coast.
Cool.
They even did a joke where Tina reached across through the screen, and like someone off screen like touched caressed Amy's face. Anyway, so there was that. They worked in some necessary but awkward jokes about how there were literally no Black people in the Hollywood Foreign Press. You know that, right? Because you haven't been on Facebook. That was like a big thing that came out right before the Golden Globes. Not that this has anything to do with Andy, but like the Hollywood Foreign Press that nominates and gives out all these awards. No Black people at all. It's insane. Which may have explained some of the strange snubs this year.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
wow.
so I saw that. I watched a couple people accept awards. I did not. I know there's an interview with Andy. I've seen gifs of it. I haven't actually watched the interview yet, but he did like an interview. But so this is to say he did not. He did not win Best Actor, but we're happy that he was nominated. That's great. I believe Sacha Baron Cohen won for Borat. I believe.
Fair.
Well, I didn't see Borat. Did you see Borat?
Well, I know he's very, very good as that character. I didn't see it. No.
Well, I think that movie is kind of, I guess, I don't want to say, I guess, controversial, but I don't know that that's the reason why it won. I mean, I haven't seen Borat, so, I mean, I know Sacha Baron Cohen is great. I have a difficulty with gotcha comedy. It's a little discomforting for me, and I'm not saying I need my comedy to be comfortable, but usually if I want to laugh, I mean, I do love satire. I'm a big fan of satire, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
so did you not watch the original?
Actually, I have seen the original Borat, and I did think it was funny. It's just like sometimes I think I've been, you know me, I'm in a place where emotionally I'm trying to avoid a lot of big feelings, and I guess discomfort is one of those feelings. So I'm probably more likely to watch Palm Springs again because it's going to give me the good feelings, you know. Anyway, Andy, first in our hearts for the Golden Globe. Now, Andy, well, actually, let me look this up. Palm Springs was nominated for a Saturn Award. Let me see if I can find. Where is it? So Palm Springs was nominated for a Saturn Award. There we go. Best Independent Film Release. So it was nominated for that. And then Andy has a lot of upcoming projects. A lot of this information I'm getting is from the Twitter account Best of Andy, which is always spitting out the great content that I love about what is going on with Andy. And this also comes from Best of Andy on Twitter. So his upcoming projects: Brooklyn Nine-Nine final season, which should be released next year. Hotel Transylvania 4. Of course, we won't be watching Hotel Transylvania because it's just not thirsty. I mean, look, hey, if you want to tweet at us at Adam Andy Pod and tell us and make a case for why we should watch Hotel Transylvania, I've seen it. It's funny. My kids love it. I don't think it's thirsty, so we've decided to skip it. But if you want to make your case, tweet at us at AdamAndyPod. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Maybe we'll just talk. Maybe we'll watch it and talk about it for during a beginning segment, but we can't do a whole episode about it. Chippendale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus. In development, of course, he's got Super High with Craig Robinson in Common, and then an untitled sci-fi comedy drama, I believe, with the same director of Palm Springs at Apple Studios. So those are all the things that Andy is up to. You all right? Is there a moth in your room? Are you okay?
There was a bug. Yes, it's okay. Sorry.
That's okay. He just wanted the latest details on what's going on with Andy Samberg's career. I get it. Any thoughts about that? I guess there's not a whole lot of new stuff for Andy other than the Saturn Award nomination. He
just has a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I want him to keep working.
Keep him working. We love to see it. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of stuff in development, coming off of all these nominations for Palm Springs. That can only mean good things for him, I'm sure. All right, so moving on to Adam. Adam was also nominated for a Saturn Award. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in Rise of Skywalker.
Nice.
So we'll have to see how that turns out. I don't know if they broadcast the Saturn Awards, but we'll definitely stay up to date with that. This information comes from the Adam Driver Files on Twitter, where they have all the great deets on what's going on with Adam Driver. So that's somebody to follow on Twitter, the Adam Driver Files. Let's see. Gucci has started filming in Italy. Did we talk about the pictures of Adam on the motorcycle?
No.
Oh, I wish I had actually pulled them. So there were some pictures that came out right before filming of Adam on a motorcycle and like driving around in this tiny little Italian car, double mast. So that makes I'm happy to see that. We're glad he's staying safe. So other than that, not a whole lot of photos of Adam in Italy at the moment. Just we saw there was some of that right before shooting. Gaga making incredible exits from her hotel every single day. She looks amazing. I know this isn't a Gaga podcast, but I cannot gush enough about how excited I am about the two of these actors being in a movie together. Also, Gaga just looks fabulous every outfit that she's leaving the hotel in. She looks like, like modern, but also there's something slightly vintage about it. Anyway,
these are her costumes or her?
No, these are just what she's wearing as she leaves the hotel. She had this beautiful like camel colored cape. It was gorgeous. Anyway. Not a whole lot of pictures of Adam, but we know he's not so much the attention getter kind of guy. So far not a whole lot from him other than the motorcycle pictures, which the internet went crazy about. Anyway, so they're filming Gucci. It looks like the title, the working title of Noah Baumbach's movie with Adam and Greta is going to be called. At this time, wheat germ. You're making a face.
Wheat germ?
Yeah. Based on the novel White Noise. I imagine they can't call it White Noise because there is already a movie called White Noise with Michael Keaton. So I guess they don't want to. I'm sure there's a lot of movies called White Noise. So
probably.
But Wheat Germ is possibly the title of that. Let's see. Oh, and then the last thing is, okay, I am definitely going to make sure that I pronounce his name correctly, because Sarah knows I did look it up. There's no way I'm going to get that right. I can say Jonas. That I know I can say. Jonas, the actor who plays Chewbacca. So sorry, guys. He's Finnish, and I looked up Jonas Suotamo, I think is how you pronounce it. Anyway, he released a book about his life playing Chewbacca. He played Chewbacca in he was like a body double and in some scenes in The Force Awakens. We're not really sure which ones were him and which were Peter Mayhew. They've intentionally kept that a secret. Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, and Solo, all played by Jonas. Now, he had a couple things to say about Adam, which I bookmarked here. So I'm just going to read you a couple passages and I'll let you react. Okay. Let's see. So apparently there was now I read the Rise of Skywalker book. So I knew about this scene, but I didn't know if they had filmed it. There was a torture scene filmed in The Rise of Skywalker where Kylo Ren tortures Chewie. Now, in the book, it's described as him torturing his mind for information. And in the book, what happens is he sees a bunch of images in Chewie's mind all about how much, basically, Ben growing up and how much Chewbacca loved Ben. That was kind of how it was portrayed in the book. Now, according to Jonas's book, it was very intense and tough for both actors, and I think he's described Adam as being like the Adam playing it as Kylo was like sociopathic. Like he said it was actually kind of scary. Let's see, what did he say exactly? He didn't talk during breaks. Oh wait, no, that's a different one. Yeah, it was very tough for him. Adam psyched himself up to be a real monster. He was so convincing that at times it actually scared him, and he believed the scene might have turned out too dark for the film. And that thinks that's why they cut it, because it was too dark. I also remember reading somewhere that Adam didn't like this scene either, but I don't have a source for that. It's just something I remember reading around the time. Skywalker came out.
Was it an emotional torture? Was it a physical
I don't know
torture?
what they filmed. I can tell you that there's a picture of Chewbacca being kind of strung up and has some like spiky things around him. In the book, it was more of a mental torture, kind of like what happens to Poe in TFA. But also, it's like his character is so different. He should have been so different after the growth he went through in The Last Jedi that it seems kind of out of character for him to do something like that. I feel like that seems more like a TFA Kylo.
Actors are actors. Like if they're doing a really convincing job, like that's good. It doesn't mean that Adam is a sociopath.
No.
Really good
I don't want to
actor.
mistake that. I think Jonas was saying that the scene was too scary and that filming it was an unpleasant experience for both of them because of the emotions. He didn't say Adam was scary, meaning Adam Driver, the person, is scary. He was saying that because of the places that he had to go to emotionally, that being in the scene felt very scary and unpleasant. Okay. I think that's what he meant. Anyway, so I just want to be really clear about that it's not that Adam Driver, the person, is scary. It's that the scene was scary and that Jonas felt like it was not tonally, it didn't feel like it should be in the film, and that it would have been hard for us to be on board with his redemption at the end if he had done this thing to this beloved character. Mm-hmm. So, but it was filmed, so it's out there somewhere. Okay, so there's that. Couple other things he said. He also says Adam didn't talk during breaks, although the actors are friends. So he said that Daisy and John Boyega were more like to talk, and Adam doesn't like to chit chat during breaks. He likes to stay focused. So that was something that he said, but I feel like we kind of knew that. Let's see. Also, he's playing like a character who's not exactly like a happy-go-lucky guy. So I feel like here's what I'm thinking, like if he's in a movie like This Is Where I Leave You, he's probably going to be more jokey, right? You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Another thing he said. He said he's a dry sense of humor, socially awkward. They bonded over their background in the military. It says he said Adam was impressed that Jonas had been in the army on the Russian border, and he must have had a tough military experience because of the cold winters. And then Jonas says his actual military service included more eating donuts and watching South Park than really tough war stuff, which I thought was really cute. And then the last thing is that the last thing? Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say was, and again, this is still from Jonas's book. He says Adam was one of the biggest grievers of Carrie Fisher from the Rise of Skywalker cast. And then Jonas says, I sought strength in everything that was said among the crew after her death, the grief of Adam, of Billy, and the obvious grief of the rest of the cast. So that's all I've got for the Adam and Andy news. So some fun tidbits from someone who worked on set with Adam. There's actually anybody who's interested in some more stuff. There's other translations of some of the other things in the book. I didn't read everything, but there's a lot of cool stuff about like apparently Dev Patel was a second choice to play Finn after John Boyega. Like they were kind of both in the running for it, and then John got the part. Anyway, there's a lot of cool little tidbits like that. If you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, if you're a Star Wars fan, shall we talk about this movie?
Yes.
Yes, you ready for Bash Brothers?
Mm-hmm.
Bash Brothers. 2019, right? 2019? This came out in 2019? Yeah. It's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it, it's only 30 minutes long. Or if you're like Sarah, you can watch it 3 times. So you must have had like a 2-hour long Bash Brothers experience.
Yeah, it was. And then I listened to an hour of a podcast about it.
Yeah, so. I took some notes during that podcast as well. So let's leave that to the end because I think that'll help us kind of contextualize.
I'm just trying to get you to understand that I spent more than 3 hours this afternoon devoted to this film.
Which is insane.
My point.
Because we were like, oh, it's 30 minutes. This will be like a quick one, right? And Sarah's like, no, I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to dig super deep. Well, let's start with you, Sarah. What do you want to start with about as far as talking about this movie? Or short, it's an experience. Let's talk about this experience.
It's a visual poem. Because I looked it up afterwards, and there's all these articles about it being like the whole point of it is to be like, so they cite Lemonade as
my first note is this a parody of Lemonade? That was my first note. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't care for it. I don't care for a comparison.
This is not. Yeah, please, you go ahead. You say what you got to say because I'm pretty sure it's going to align with how I feel as well.
No, it's just Lemonade is a great
piece of art,
amazing piece of art, beautiful, and Beyonce is a queen, and I just don't like the idea of comparing this to Lemonade. But I get that they were inspired by the idea of a quote unquote visual poem, like to tell a story in the way that they did.
Yes.
So that's fine. You can say that. But just
I want to say that I don't have a problem with the music videos, although I have some strange feelings about this in general. Like, I'll just say, I don't have a problem with the music video aspect of it, but I did feel a bit like Lemonade is a really powerful experience about something that's really emotional and about subject matter that is not heard and had not been heard and needs a voice. And then so to have 2 white guys kind of take that and parody it, even though they didn't literally parody it. Huh?
They didn't parody the content. It was the form.
I know, but there was certain things about it that really reminded me of Lemonade. The water, the sinking in the water, the going through the woods, the trees, the poetry. There's even a shot where he has a bat and he kind of drags it along a fence, and I get that they're baseball players, but all of it reminded me of different parts of Lemonade, and I just have to say that it made me feel a little weird about it. Like, I'm not saying we can't satirize great works of art. It's just like, and they didn't satirize the content like you said of Lemonade, but something about it just made me feel a little like, ugh, a little icky about that, a little icky. And we'll get to the podcast and they kind of touch on that and how it's really, there's a lot of other things that came out after it that also have this kind of style, but it felt very much like a bit of a parody of the style of Lemonade. And there's something about that gave me a little bit of the willies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm glad you also felt that. And I don't know if any of our listeners are going to feel that way, but I was just like, ooh, like 2 white guys doing Lemonade. I don't know that I like it.
No, don't like it.
Now Lemonade came out in 2016, so it's not like they immediately turned around but it's like, were there not other styles that you could, I mean, I actually found the moments that were like Lemonade to actually be strangely powerful. So I don't know what that says, but I'm just saying I feel like I've beaten this to death, but that was one of the big thing for me is that I felt very uncomfortable throughout at the clear parallels to Lemonade.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that. All right. Sarah, let's just say, did you enjoy this? You watched it 3 times. Did you enjoy this experience that you had?
Not entirely. No.
I felt like it was very intense. It felt intense to me.
Very intense.
Like,
and that is why I watched it at half the speed, because I was like, I need to process what they're saying, because it's being given to me like
it was
like
very
this.
fast. The lyrics were great. To be honest with you, most of the songs sounded the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Yorma was not really a part of this, and I understand that his musical style is a little different, and that might have if they had some of that in there, it might have added something a little different. I mean, you know more, I think, about the Lonely Island early stuff than I do. So I don't know if I'm completely wrong there. There was like a lot of here's what I'll say: they swung for the fences, like they swung hard. Okay, this was they took a lot of they weren't really trying to make this to please anyone, I don't feel like.
No,
and I applaud that. There was a lot of stuff about women and sexuality and masculinity that like was clearly satirical but still made me uncomfortable in ways. Yeah. And then because, the part where they're talking about their dads made me feel so sad. Like, I just felt deeply uncomfortable, and I know it was funny, but also I was just like, this is very intense for like a comedy album. This is so intense. Anyway, I don't know if you have anything you can add to that, but that was just like a big thing that I underlined.
I just know that the Lonely Island, they love to parody the toxic masculinity, the super bro-y, hyper masculine, hyper sexual, and then like the bad relationship with the dad. Like, they just love to.
That's their thing.
That's their thing. That's their jam.
There was a lot of that in Hot Rod.
Mm-hmm.
Hot Rod was all about that.
Yeah.
And this felt like a darker version. Like in Hot Rod, it was like a little bit more broad comedy. And this felt like there was a little bit more darkness to it. Not that it felt like a dark comedy, but there was like an edge to it that didn't exist in, say, like a thing like something like Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Some of the songs were very catchy.
Very catchy. I loved Silk Road. No, it's not. It's actually called
Oakland Nights.
Oakland Nights.
Let's talk about Oakland Nights. Tell me about Oakland Nights. Let's talk about it.
So I can't remember if this was. Oh, this was in the thing I sent you. Where they.
I didn't read that because I was waiting for you to tell me all about it. Because I listened to the podcast and I was like, Sarah, just tell me what's in the article and I'll read it later.
Okay, great. Okay, so this will be a surprise. So for that song, they had Sia sing that.
What?
So yeah, Sia was the one who sang. So who did the? I'm not going to say it, but the silk robes and kimonos.
Okay.
The lyrics. So like
that Sterling K. Brown was like
lip syncing too.
Oh, okay.
It was a high voice, Nicole. It was a
I knew it wasn't
voice.
him. I just thought it was like one of the guys or something. I didn't realize it was her. I wasn't. I guess I was too distracted by Sterling K. Brown, who always plays these very serious roles. I was just like, this is I think that was one of my favorite scenes because the cameos were so great, and Jenny Slate was great, and I know I've seen that other actor before, and I don't remember what her name is.
The good girl, the new girl. She's a
oh my god, that's
Cece
from New Girl. Oh my god, they were so funny. The women were great, and I thought Yorma and Andy were very funny.
God.
Huh?
Sterling K. Brown.
He stole the show.
Hilarious. Stole it.
I think he was my favorite moment in the whole thing.
The whole thing. Did you notice, though, that they put him in a black and white wig?
Parted, like Sia?
Center, like Sia?
I did
like
see.
Black,
I didn't get it. I just thought, I was like, that's a really strange wig that he's wearing, but it didn't click for me at all. Also, I was like, he looks good in those pajamas.
Yeah. No, but basically, so they had Sia sing it, and then they were like, who are we going to get to lip sync this? And they had like ideas for actresses and that kind of stuff. And then they're like, you know what? Like, Andy had worked with Sterling on his show.
Brooklyn, was he on Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
He was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was on an episode that he got an Emmy nomination.
Oh, I must have forgotten this episode. It's been a while.
And so they worked together. And so Andy just like texted him and was like, hey, we're doing this thing for Netflix. You want to, or like, I don't know.
Well, they very clearly did everything on a green screen, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it wasn't that hard to get people.
They just like got him to lip sync, and he did amazing.
I love the idea that they're like, who is one of the most serious motherfucking actors we can think of to have come in and wear a Sia wig and some purple pajamas, and it was brilliant. I loved it. Yes. It was great. I'll tell you what did not make me thirsty was those sex faces. I actually at one point covered my eyes. Because I was like, I can feel the bad sex just like radiating from the screen. It was very funny. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think this whole Oakland Nights thing was one of the highlights of all of the videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oof,
yeah,
please make it stop.
And the sounds, very bad.
Oof,
very bad.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I want to talk about the scene where they bench press women.
Yeah, can we? Bench pressing bodacious babes in bikinis.
I thought it was strange. That was one of the moments where I was like, I know this is satire, but also it's making me a little upset. Like, I'm here and I know what you're trying to do, and I see it all.
But why?
But like, also but also ew.
Yeah, it's like, why are you telling this joke? It's not like we get that it's a joke, but like, why are you telling it? Maybe
that's where it was for me, where I was like, I don't know the why, but mostly I was just like, okay, yes, okay, they're wearing bikinis. I did like the weird inserts of the one of like infomercial type stuff where it was almost like they were selling a product. Mm-hmm. I get that it's like baseball players, especially, and they talked about this in the podcast, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on this because we can circle back to it, or maybe this is a good time to work it in. They talked about in the podcast how in the 80s these guys were this hyper masculine ideal, and so they were able to work that kind of stuff in through through the image of those guys, Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire, to sort of lampoon stuff like this. And once I heard that, and I'll save some of the other stuff they said for when we talk about the podcast. Once I listened to the interview, I was like, oh, now that makes so much more sense. And I'm not sure what would have made me feel differently about what they were doing, because it just felt too close to what I would have actually seen in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's it. So I was like, yeah, I get this. I've seen it. I'm a human woman.
Yeah, I guess, like, I feel like jokes like that, I feel like we had, a time when jokes like that were, like, when all that stuff was actually happening, mm-hmm. like, and it was like, that's just how society is. And then we had a period where everyone made jokes about, oh, that was such a terrible time, like, but I feel like now we're beyond that period where it's like okay to make jokes. Like, I feel like I want to cross over to the next level where it's like, let's just not even make jokes like that. Like,
I'm going to disagree. I'm fine with the jokes. I just feel like the joke needs to add a flavor to it that says something about it other than remember when things were like this.
But
and I get that it's absurd. I just feel like it didn't like, I think that if the conversation is, hey, remember when the 80s when women were just like objects and in bikinis and like men were men and everything was super heterosexual and blah, you know, like our idols had to be very heterosexual and women had to be stick thin, like in that time period, like body image and all this stuff. And but you're when you're just making fun of it by making it silly, it doesn't, I don't know how that satirizes the thing that actually happened. I think that's my problem. You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is that it's already been said. Like all of that stuff has already been said. All of those points have already been made. Like we know what it was like. Like we get it. Why do we need to keep hearing about it over and over and over again?
I think that that's fair if you feel that way. I don't agree, but I don't think that this added anything to the conversation. Like, I think I want to see it if you're going to give me something I haven't seen before that
right,
subverts
but like, I'm just saying,
something.
I just don't know what that would be. Like, I just haven't seen that yet. So, like, yes, if you can subvert it, please. But I don't know. I just like it. Just annoys me at this point.
Yes, that I agree with. I agree with that, and I think it just like, yeah, I don't really have much more to add to that, other than, you know, I was like, okay, this one didn't land for me. you know, that's
I guess,
how.
Especially the part where they're like, don't wear sweatpants, because that is like,
because we can't grab your butt that way. Yeah. Which is kind of funny. But also, yes. I mean, Auntie did make it funny, you know, when when he can't get a grip on her butt and his hand hurts because poor little hand hurts because like her sweatpants glide right off of his hand. I'm not saying that these guys aren't funny. I'm just saying,
yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm just sighing exhaustedly.
Yeah.
But I feel like what they wanted to do with it had more meaning to me than how it actually got executed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with the desire to talk about it. It just didn't really execute in the way that I think that they were intending.
Yeah.
Okay. What else you got?
So for me, I liked the first few songs. Like I liked their introductory song. I liked.
I thought the part where they kept cutting back to Mark and he was like, "And I'm Mark McGuire." That was very funny. That made me laugh.
Yeah. The second song I think was about. It sounded a lot like the first song, but it was a different song.
I know a lot of the songs sounded the same to me. Ugh,
this was the one where they like screamed and they had like the skeletons like they looked like they were getting like X-rays,
right,
and
where he was like, really "I'm invincible,"
and they ate the insides of a baseball.
That was crazy. My mouth was hanging open during a large part of this experience, which is what I'm just going to call it now, as an experience. I was just like, I was laughing at times, and then other times I was like, what am I watching? Like, what am I watching right now?
And so much talk of sex, and
which is fine. I think that was one thing that they wanted to talk about. There's a lot of pelvic thrusting.
Fine, but it's just like, why do we always have to talk about it? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I didn't have a problem with that. It didn't bother me so much. So where does this stack up for you against the other movies that Andy's done about sports?
I think I like this best because it's songs.
You like this best?
Yes.
Well, you did watch it 3 times.
It's okay. So here's the thing. I don't like sports.
Yeah, so we don't like
anything to do with sports is like.
This is the most sports I've ever watched is for this fucking podcast.
For this fucking podcast. No.
I don't watch sports.
So I like this best just because it's like songs, and I like to watch songs more than I like to watch non-songs.
Mm-hmm. Or like literally
Anything.
songs. From now on, when we introduce the show, I'm going to be like, today we're going to be watching a non-song called. Okay, so you like it best because you liked the musical aspect of it.
Yes.
That's surprising. It's not surprising that you liked it because of the music. I'm just surprised that you liked this the best. I will say that it felt very, in some ways, experimental to me, and I really appreciated that. Like, I like it when people make things that they're not trying to please anyone and they're trying to do something weird, and I fucking love that. That's great. As far as my enjoyment of it, I would say I enjoyed, goddamn, what was that tennis movie? What was that one called again?
Oh.
We just watched it not that long ago. Anyway, Sarah will look it up. The tennis movie I liked. It was something hours, right? Something days. 7 Days in Hell. Right?
Yeah.
7 Days in Hell. 7 Days in Hell, I think I liked the best of the movies about sports. And then
Tour de Pharmacy.
And then probably Tour de Pharmacy, but there was a bit like I like Tour de Pharmacy didn't have that much Andy in it, although Daveed Diggs is so good. I really liked that. I don't know. It's hard for me to choose between that and this, but I guess like I liked the experimentalness of it, but I didn't have it like I didn't feel as much enjoyment watching this as I did the other two movies, if that makes sense. Like I didn't like I was laughing, but also I was like at one point I did kind of check and go, how much longer is this? And it's only 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, there's only 10 minutes left. So I did like at a certain point, and I kind of knew I would when I was like, oh, it's 30 minutes of music videos. I haven't done that since I was like since the 90s, and I'm watching like MTV or some shit.
Yeah.
I just don't watch a lot of music videos in a row. So I think that it was kind of the opposite effect for me, where I was like, I want a story. Like, I think my favorite parts of this were in the interludes, or when something happened, or when they were commenting on Jose and Mark McGuire's relationship. Like that moment at the end of the scene where they're talking about the dads, where they almost kiss over the table. Am I the only one who thought they were going to kiss? I really thought they were going to start kissing. No? You didn't think they had sexual chemistry?
Who?
Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco. They were leaning so close to each other, and there was this intensity, and I felt like, to me, in that moment, I was like, yes, male friendships can be just as sexually charged as female friendships, because like there's this closeness, and like these guys needed each other, and maybe they filled in something for each other that their dads didn't give them, and that was like a really powerful moment for me. And when they were like, it's right at the end of that song about the dads. And they're at a table because they were both talking about being at dinner with these women, right? I went to dinner with Madonna. I went to dinner with my mom, right? And at the end, they're both at the table instead of them with the women. And they like got closer and closer, and their faces got super close. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to kiss. They're going to kiss right now. And if they do, I'm totally buying it. Like they're totally selling me on this. And I didn't feel like it was going to be for a joke. I felt like it was literally like the apex of this relationship between these two men that like had this intense friendship. And I was like, yes, let's talk about this. How men's friendships can also be intense in the same way that women's friendships are. And they didn't kiss, and I'm fine with it. I'm just saying that's what I thought was going to happen.
I didn't see it either. I was looking away all three times.
You watched this movie 3 times, Sarah.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
I did see a part where they were very close looking at each other, but it looked like they had been put on a green screen, like had been like placed there. Yeah.
I agree, but I still thought they were going to kiss. Oh. That's the scene I'm talking about. You're talking about the same scene that I'm talking about. Anyway, I was like, oh my God, they're going to kiss right now. I don't know. Is anybody else? Am I insane? Did anybody else see this but me? Insane. Am I insane? Men's relationships can be charged in this way, I feel like. And we don't talk about it.
It looked like they were like pasted together. Like they weren't actually next to each other.
I get that. Yes, logistically. Yeah, okay. But emotionally, they were together. If anybody else wants to weigh in on this, tweeted us at AdamAndyPod. I just really felt like there was a charge in the air and it wasn't going to be played for a joke. I'm not saying that it's let's make fun of men kissing. That's not what I'm saying at all. I was like, oh my God, like this is the natural conclusion of them feeling rejected by their fathers and having like he's on a date with his mom and he's on his date with Madonna and him and Madonna are clicking and like this is the natural conclusion here is and that's just how I was feeling in the moment.
Yeah. Perhaps.
Apparently not. It didn't happen. So is there still a mosquito in there? Are you getting bit? Are you going to be okay? Did you get it? Yes. Fuck that mosquito. Sarah, anything else you want to talk about?
Shake that nasty butt.
We got to take about the shake the butt. Okay, what do you want to say about it? I think this was my other favorite scene.
Maya Rudolph and Haim, who basically
and Stephanie Beatrix from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, basically verbally assaulting,
catcalling in a way,
Andy and Kiva. I'm sorry, Jose and Mark.
See, I feel like this was the reversal of how I felt about the gym scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was actually really nice to see women just being like, shake your butt, you know, and they're like, we are.
And then they're like, stop, make it
shake
stop.
4 halves of butt or something like that. And it's
he's like, that's
phrased weird. No, it's not phrased weird at all.
I felt that was a commentary on fame and sexuality and the way we the way we feel. And this is a weird thing to talk about on a thirst podcast, but the way that we feel ownership of people that we don't know, but we're familiar with their work. Like we feel some kind of ownership of them and we feel this like attraction to them that is not reciprocated because they don't know who the fuck we are. And we feel like we have a entitlement to their bodies in some way. And this happens to women all the time, just in life.
Yeah.
But it happens to men who are celebrities, right?
Yeah.
So this was a commentary about that and about fame that I felt was weird and funny and spot on in a way that the gym stuff did not work for me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And I think at that point I was just relieved to see some women. Like it had been like 20 minutes since I had seen there was a couple ladies in the Oakland Nights video, but I was like, there's no women in this movie. And I was like, oh, here they are. And they are taking charge.
I love the women in Oakland Nights turn them down.
Yes.
Like they weren't like, okay, this sounds great. Like they weren't swept away. They were kind of like, yeah, no, we don't.
They were like, we didn't like it when we came in here and we still don't like it.
Yeah.
I think in lesser hands, they would have just been like, the button is that they change their minds. No, it's not. Yeah. The button is we still say no and you're gross and we're leaving now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts about the Bash Brothers experience? About your experience watching this 3 times?
I'm glad that I did it. Like, I'm glad that I discovered that feature on Netflix. I hope the next time I do it,
feature on Netflix. I'm sorry, I gotta circle back to that. You're like, I'm glad I watched it. Also, I'm glad that I know that I can play things at half speed now.
Yes.
This led to that.
I'm glad. Seriously, if there's something that's too fast, like I'm a slow processor, and so when things come at me too fast,
I get it.
You know. Anyway, final thoughts. Yeah, I mean, this was fun and funny, and it just hit the same kind of old tired notes that I think that we hear all the time. Throughout,
or just in that one song?
Oh no, not the one. I'm saying the whole thing. The whole thing had the hyper sexuality, hyper
I
masculinity,
see.
that kind of stuff. It's just like it's fun. It can be funny, but it's also really
It's exhausting.
exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so fast and intense at times. I was like, I feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
I felt
Yes.
overwhelmed at
Especially
times.
that second song for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I was like,
Super
oh,
fast. It was like,
am I just an old person? Like, I was like, oh, this
I
is,
think we're both just old.
I need a cup of chamomile tea after this. Okay. Would you recommend this to a fan of Andy Samberg?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely watch it. It's only 30 minutes.
Sure.
Watch it 2 or 3 times at half speed.
Mm-hmm. Really
No, I
get the
definitely think you
full
should
weight.
watch it. It's different and weird, and yeah, absolutely. It's on Netflix. For sure, watch it. Do you want to? Is there anything you want to say? I have a couple things I want to say about the podcast. So we did listen to a podcast. It's actually called Good One, and it's a podcast where people talk about jokes and how people write jokes. This was actually recommended to us by a listener, so thank you for that, because we both listened to that podcast, and it actually added a lot to the experience of watching this movie for me, or whatever we're calling it, this experience. So Sarah, is there anything that stuck out to you about the podcast, or anything you wanted to say about that podcast?
I thought it was a good interview. I did think that the person interviewing did seem hung up on how they write jokes.
Well, I think that's the topic of the show, but I remember you texting me going like, I don't like when people ask comedians how they write jokes. Which is fair.
I mean, it's like, and they did kind of answer it in a way that's like, oh, we don't know how we do it. It just kind of comes to us. It kind of, and that is very true. When no matter if you're writing jokes or a song or anything you write, you aren't really fully aware of
it's
where
just kind of coming out of you
from.
Yeah. I think that their answer was basically like, we just write what is funny to us. Yeah. And we try not to worry too much beyond that. Now, I do think, as we're both writers and we've both written a lot of comedy, and I do think that comedy jokes do have a structure.
Yeah.
There's definitely structure to writing a joke, but even when you know the structure, I don't think you think a lot about it. At least I don't. Like, once you know the structure, you're trying to like kind of do it inherently and not overthink. It's the same thing with writing a screenplay. We know that, okay, at a certain point there has to be a conflict, and then that conflict has to get complicated, and then some emotional stakes have to be raised, and then there has to be a resolution. We all know that, but we don't overthink it, or it kind of takes away from the emotional part of writing the story. At least I don't. So I'm with you there, where it's like, if you ask me like, how did you come up with the mechanics of the specific joke? I can tell you where I got the idea, but that's about it, Yeah. But they did have some interesting things, I think, to say about the rhythm of how they put the songs together. I thought that part was interesting, because they have like a strategy for how they work together when they're writing a song, it seemed like, and that was interesting to hear about. I loved how they said that they create a character for each song, even though they don't give them a name. Do you remember that part? They were talking even like about a couple of characters that Andy had played, and they're like, it's never us, it's always some kind of character. So these guys are a character, and even if the character doesn't have a name, the character allows us to make a song that is funny because we're basing it on that character
and not on ourselves.
Right. Or on just funny words. I think the idea that and this is an idea that comes across a lot in improv. I think there's a lot of improv teaching about this, where the jokes come from the character and not from you trying to say something clever.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good piece of advice. I also liked the term frapping, fake rapping. That made me laugh a lot.
Yep.
They called what they do frapping.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I wanted to circle back to regarding the gym scene that I thought wasn't really communicated to me, at least when I watched it, but it was interesting. So they said that, first of all, they said that Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire were big like idols of theirs when they were kids.
Yeah.
And they said that the 80s, there was all this masculine stuff, and like they'll go back and watch movies. And this happened to me too. I watched Revenge of the Nerds, which was a movie I used to watch when I was a kid. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
that movie is rapey as fuck. I mean, you think about that movie or like 16 Candles, which is another movie I watched as a kid, which is also rapey as fuck and also very racist. Like there's all kinds of stuff. And I'll watch movies with my kids, like Goonies, and my kids will be like, I don't care for the way that sloth is being represented in this movie. They're like, it seems like they're making him a joke and people with disabilities are not a joke. And I was like, you're right. And I have no excuse. And so what they were saying was that there's all this stuff, and they cited Revenge of the Nerds specifically, that you watch and then you go back and you're like, ew, as an adult, you're like, ew, why did people think this was funny? Why did people let kids watch this?
Yeah.
And their idea was like, in that, I think I'm tying it specifically to the gym scene. I'm not sure if they were tying it specifically to that, but they were saying that in this experience that they put together, they wanted a chance to explore some of those themes of like sexuality and how it's gross and weird the way that it was represented in the 80s. Like it's not realistic and it's misogynistic. They didn't use the word misogynistic, but I feel like that's what they were saying. That's the word that they didn't say that felt like it was part of the conversation. And I was like, oh yeah, I can see that. I can see how there was an aim in the gym song, which I don't remember what the gym song is called. There was an aim there to go, this is misogynistic and we don't think it's cool and it's absurd and we're going to make it look really absurd. And I think there was an attempt there, but I don't know that it really hit the notes for me that they were trying to hit. At least not as a woman, it didn't.
I think the only thing that gave that away for me was the sweatpants thing.
That was one of the few jokes that I thought was funny because I was like, clearly it's absurd. Like a woman is going to wear sweatpants to the gym, or she can wear sweatpants whenever she wants. And it's like, I think that was, are you saying that joke did work for you or didn't?
Yes, no, I'm saying that joke clued me into the fact that they were being like, look, this is misogynistic.
You're right. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. But yeah, I totally agree. That was one of the things there for me. Because at first I was like, okay, is it just about them being able to lift women because they're super strong? Like I couldn't quite get my handle on what it was about. And then once the sweatpants joke, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So, sorry, let me get rid of. I'm getting messaged and it's I hope you can't hear it.
I can't hear it.
Good. I hope it's not on the recording because it's like fucking. Actually, you probably won't be able to hear it because it's in my headphones. Okay. Anyway, that's anything else from that podcast that you wanted to talk about? The good one.
I didn't take notes, so.
Oh, I didn't expect you to. I just happened to take notes while I was. I feel like you've done enough, Sarah. You watched this 3 times.
I really have.
So from now on, are you going to watch everything we watch for this podcast 3 times?
No.
At half speed?
No.
Imagine if you had watched What If 3 times. What would you have gotten from that? Yeah. So shall we, moments of thirst?
Yeah.
I think you go first this week.
Okay.
Right? I don't know. I'm not keeping track. I'll be honest.
So I guess my 3 moments, the first would be at the top when he's like, they call me Jose. And he like does the big like.
Yeah, I can see that.
All the like just the yelling.
The yelling. You found the yelling sexy.
The yelling of his name. Yes. I don't know.
Okay.
And then time code 25. Wait.
Hilarious.
That doesn't seem right. Oh.
You literally did write time coded notes, Sarah. I love you for this.
5 minutes and 2 seconds? Or I think I mistyped. I think
That's okay. It's usually hours, minutes, seconds, and frames, but you probably couldn't get the frames. So it would just be minutes and seconds, I think, for this one.
Well, I don't understand because this one has a higher time code than the next one, which doesn't make sent.
Maybe you wrote them out of order.
I wrote the wrong one. Anyway, so I'm not going to say the time code because it's only like 2 seconds, but it's where it's the second song where they're talking about the eating the baseball, and there's like 2 seconds where he's just like humping the camera and doing like a dance.
I took note of that. Yeah.
And I'm just like,
there's a little camera humping going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then the third one is the song where like dick in my hands, I guess.
Oh, where he kept grabbing his dick. Yes.
Yeah.
Because he had to pee, I think, right? Didn't he have to pee in the song? That's why he had to grab his dick, because he had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. And so the line is, we're two little jackrabbits fucking in our cleats. And like there was something about his face, like the way he said that. I was just like, okay.
I'm going to have to roll back the tape on that one at half speed, I think, because I must have missed that gem. All right. All good moments of thirst this week, Sarah. I'm going to be honest with you. I found this whole thing profoundly unsexy. So this was a real struggle for me. There were no jorts to be found. So I had some trouble. I will say so mine are all out of order because I had to think about it pretty hard. But I did find some moments. Number one, even though I did not love the song in the gym, I was very happy to see that once we got there, Andy was in shorts and a tank top. Like he was in very small shorts and a tank top. And I was like, finally, thank you for giving me this gift of Andy's thighs.
Mm-hmm.
So had to write that down. That was like the first thing that I wrote down. Then I went back and thought about it a little bit more. Or no, I think, did the scene in the parking lot with the women come after the gym or before? Anyway, I also wrote down Andy has a juicy butt, which I think you can really see in the butt shaking song, where like you see Akiva's butt and you're like, that's like a pancake butt. And then you get over to Andy's little juicy hiney. And I was like, Andy has a real juicy butt. So I had to write that down. And then lastly, I was like, I don't know what else to say here. But I will say that Andy really knows how to like stand regally in a fan that is blowing his hair back.
Yes.
His weird mullet that he was wearing. Okay. I think that's it for the thirst, right?
Mm-hmm. It was hard for me too.
It was tough.
I was picking things that I wouldn't normally pick just because they're like,
Well, I mean, I think they made that was part of the experience, was for them to make these guys very unsexy. I think that was part of the thing they were satirizing, and they did a good job. Because I was like, I would also, like, if I was Jenny Slate, I would turn them down also. I'd be like, no,
the thing
sorry.
is that like the stuff that would make him attractive to some women, like the really like masculine kind of like dominant stuff, like I don't find that as sexy.
I could in the right situation, but not in this. Not in this.
As you would imagine, I'm normally up for pretty much anything in the bedroom, but I can't tell if what happened was weird or sexy.
Are you ready for some Adam and Andy trivia?
Are you?
I am. I'm ready for Adam and Andy, a trivia contest for one. And I'm so excited to see what you've got in store for me today. Sarah's going to try to stump me with some trivia about Adam or Andy or both. And I'm going to have to guess something. She's going to tell me the rules right now.
I love how I always change the rules. Okay.
I love it.
I'm going to give you 3 lyrics.
Okay.
From that are, 2 of them are Lonely Island lyrics, and one of them is a fake.
Oh, okay. So it's 2 truths and a lie, but with lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm in. Great. This is great. Okay, I'm listening.
No homo, but I wish I lived in ancient Greece to give young Socrates the illful release.
Ooh.
But see, I think the issue is I've got my father's temper and I'm emotionally inarticulate. So rather than being honest and vulnerable, I've been a quick switch because I'm hurting inside and I'm trying to hide it. So eat a dick, bitch. 3.
Wow. Did you write one of these?
You'll see. Mona Lisa, you're an overrated piece of shit with your terrible style and your dead shark eyes and a smirk like you're hiding a dick. What the fuck is this garbage? Mona Lisa, the original basic bitch, traveled thousands of miles to see your beautiful smile. Talk about a bait and switch. You ugly.
I honestly, I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with their songs to know which one is false. I hope it's the third one, because that one I never need to hear the word no homo again. The rest of that part of that song was funny. The last one is one I hope is false, because I did not care for it. So I'm gonna go with number 3.
That's incorrect. That is a Lonely Island lyric. It's called.
Oof.
It's a song called Mona Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
One is also real.
Okay.
No homo. But I wish I lived in ancient Greece.
That sounded definitely like one of their songs.
The one that ends with eat a dick bitch is Bo Burnham.
Oh, okay. You had me there because I thought maybe that was in the actual Bash Brothers and I just missed it because it sounded similar to that song, which I guess is why you picked it. Yeah, you really got me there. Ooh, I didn't like that last lyric there. Eek.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it used in a way that justifies its fuckery, or?
I didn't listen to the song. I just found the lyrics online. I looked. There's a website that has like all of their lyrics, and I was just like, I'm gonna find some lyrics and stuff.
It sounds very transphobic to me.
Mona Lee.
The song,
Lisa?
that song lyric, yes. Didn't it say she looks like she's hiding a dick?
Oh, I thought that meant like hiding a dick like in her mouth or like somewhere where you can't see.
I took it to mean that's I'd have to hear the song, but that's what I took it to mean.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't hear that. I didn't see it like that at all.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I did not care for that.
No. Auntie.
I mean, look, and maybe this is something we'll encounter when we look through some of these Lonely Island and SNL sketches. Like, comedy is a product of the people that make it in the time that they make it. And hopefully those people grow as we all grow and realize like, ooh, that, when I made that joke, it actually wasn't funny then. And I see that now. Because, anyway, I just hope that we, as comedian, look, it's not like I've never made a joke that isn't good, or I'm sure I've made jokes that are problematic in my time. In fact, I know for sure when we were doing sketch shows and we were really trying to push the boundaries of things, there were definitely sketches I've written that pushed the boundaries in a way that now looking back, I'm like, you know what? That probably, I wouldn't do that if I was writing today, know? So not to excuse it, but I hope that whenever that song was written, that they would look at that today and go, ugh, like that was not funny what I did when I said that. And I wouldn't do that today.
Yeah. Hopefully. And I'm sorry that I didn't catch that. I thought I mistook the meaning.
That's okay. You didn't write the song.
I know, but I wouldn't have used that.
Right. No, it's okay. I don't think that I don't think there's anything. I don't think you did anything wrong by and you obviously didn't read it that way. So, but it led to us talking about that. And you know what? I feel like there have been multiple times where we've encountered moments like there's a lot of moments like that in That's My Boy and other movies that we've watched where we're like, ooh, like this joke is not cool. And so that's a thing with comedy is sometimes you make jokes that are fucked up and not funny, Yeah. So it's okay. It's not your fault. But you did get me. You did get me this time. You got me good.
That's what I'm trying to do every time. It's going to get harder and harder.
Please. I like you. I like a challenge.
I almost, instead of using Adam or Andy facts, try to find Sterling K. Brown facts. I was like, no, this is too mean. I can't do this. But I was just like,
I would have appreciated that because frankly, he was the MVP of this movie to me. Yeah. He was Sterling K. Brown has my heart. Yes. He really killed it. He was a high point in this for me. And maintained his sexiness despite this movie being profoundly unsexy.
Even in that wig.
Even in the wig, you couldn't contain the sexy.
Oh, you look awesome. Come the fuck upstairs.
Okay.
But wait, I have to warn you about something.
What?
If you come up here, I'm gonna tie you to my bed and keep you for at least 3 days. I'm just in that kind of mood.
Are you ready to spin the wheel to see what we're gonna watch next?
Yeah.
Okay. So next week, or next time you hear us 2 weeks from now, is gonna be an Adam movie. So we're going to spin the wheel to see which Adam Driver film we're going to watch. So here's what we've got this week, Sarah. We've got While We're Young, Midnight Special, Patterson, Black Klansman, and Tracks. Okay. So let's click the wheel. We are going to be watching Black Klansman. All right. This is some peak Adam Driver hotness, you guys. Sarah and I both have seen Black Klansman. It's actually if you're a fan of Adam, I'm sure you've probably seen it. It's an incredible movie. It's actually, I feel like it's going to be a real treat to watch it again. And when I say treat, I don't mean it's all light and happy. I mean, there's some serious fucking shit in this movie. But it's really an incredible film. I will die mad that it did not win the Oscars that it deserved. Should have won the Oscar for Best Editing. It should have won the Oscar for Best Picture. I will die mad about that. And I'll try not to rant about it too much during the next episode. But Flip Zimmerman is a tasty treat. And I'm really excited to watch this with you, Sarah. I guess I won't watch it with you because of quarantine. But at least the first time we watched it, we were together.
Yeah, that's true. I'll remember that time.
Maybe we can cast it or something. Like maybe there's a way we can watch it virtually together.
Yeah.
Because I remember us watching it in the before times.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm pretty psyched. Are you psyched? Yeah. Okay, cool. So come back. Well, I guess before we go, I'll plug the things. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you liked our show, consider recommending to a friend. We're, of course, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. I think we're on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. You can watch our vidcast on YouTube. Go to Critical Crop Top on YouTube. That's our channel. And you can watch our vidcast. And we love talking to you about Adam and Andy. We love it. I fucking love it. People have given us such great suggestions. And thank you to the listener who suggested the podcast that we listened to about this, about the Bash Brothers Experience. So we love interacting with you on social media. So reach out to us. We're at Adam Andy Pod on Twitter, and we're at Adam and Andy Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. So Sarah, are you ready to bash? Shall we bash?
Let's do it.